welcome back. Sorry that took a little bit longer. Trying to find everything about the Matcherino, and then JonSnow actually had been out of StarCraft, so we got him back in. They're doing the vetoes now. Should be getting the game soon, but I fixed the Matcherino command. If you guys type !Matcherino, that should be correct now with the correct code. I doubt there's still codes left, but I'm not actually sure. So I guess like throwback here. It's been a long time since we did the BTSL. We had so much stuff in between the last month. But this is actually Group B of the, well, I guess of the two groups. There's only two groups, but this is Group B. Last time we did it was Group A. And this is like our new kind of format that we chose to do for the BTSL, as well as the Corsair Cup. We just had a huge gap in between. So I had to remember that. You guys hopefully like know it now, but that's why the Matcherino is still ongoing and has already raised almost $1,200. These guys
wow, that's pretty sick.
Pool.
Oh, damn. Also, speaking of damn, it's exactly what I thought when I clicked on JonSnow's profile and had a little bit of a perv. This guy's 6,060 MMR on the Korean server. Currently ranked 89th GM.
Doing pretty well. He
is a skilled individual. I knew he was good. That's that confirms things for me. But I mean, is he versus Solar good? I'll have to find out.
Well, the I mean, we thought that Hurricane was gonna get beat by Bjorn, and we were like,
who even knows anything anymore?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I was like 80% sure Bjorn would beat Hurricane. But hey.
And you know, maybe ZvZ. I don't know. Solar though is pretty good. I feel like for me though, whenever I watch Solar, I'm like, I know all the hype that everyone has around him. I know he gets very far in a lot of tournaments, and that's really awesome. Obviously, like, you know, SSL finals and all that. But then I like get to watch him, and I'm like, well, he's okay, or like he like actually gets knocked out, or something along those lines. So I'm not quite on that hype train, and I actually think that JonSnow could have a chance. But obviously Solar has a reputation because he is actually very good. I don't want to discredit that or anything. But.
Yeah, I mean, he got picked up by Splice for a reason. Like you mentioned in that explanation, he is an SSL champion, so he's won tournaments before. And ZvZ hasn't changed heaps since he won that championship, by the way. But it's not a matchup that I particularly remember JonSnow being incredibly good at. So
yeah, well, we need Fear Dragon the expert to come in and say what he was good at. Or not.
Yeah, we need an NA expert, someone that watches all the NA tournaments.
Yeah.
I'd say that Fear Dragon's not an expert of many things, but he would be an expert of NA tournaments.
Yeah. Looks like the vetoes are ready, so the first map's gonna be Abyssal Reef. So these guys invited. JonSnow was a barcode. So again, like bringing up the whole like he made the last group a long time ago. Just as a reminder, the two players that have already advanced. Is Gumiho and Scarlet already advanced almost a month ago at this point, June 9th, over stats and patience. So you need to cross. Good luck, Hurricane.
Goodness gracious.
Yeah.
That's a pretty sick performance there from Gumiho and Scarlet.
Yeah.
I'm sorry I missed that. I normally watch you guys' things, especially when it's BTSL because it's in my time zone, but must have missed that one.
Yeah.
Shame on me.
Shame on you. You might have been getting ready for WCS?
It would have to be something important like that. There's no way to miss it otherwise.
Yeah. But yeah, it was a while going. Yeah, the Protoss ended up dying here. So they're waiting for the finals, which I think is like next week or something like that. Finally, we have our players ready to go, and they are ready to go. Let's do this.
Sweet. Abyssal Reef for game number 1. Nice little map. Pretty happy to see it continue its reign of terror in Season 2. I guess Season 3 now. And it's got a lot of counterattack potential. It's one of the reasons I like this map so much is that run-bys are such a huge thing, and counterattacks are such a huge thing, and going, gotcha, in the tall grass in the middle of the map and that sort of thing is cool.
Yeah. I think a lot of people really like this map. It's a fun map, but okay, we got something fun starting things off today. In the bottom right, going for a 12 pool. It is the Teal Zerg Solar.
Doesn't want to play ZvZ against the white man today.
Well.
But you know what? You know who else is going for an early pool? This guy on the top left. This is JonSnow.
Yeah.
This is going to be an interesting game 1.
Yeah. Pay close attention to what else they get with this. I mean, if they both did the exact same build, that's just really wonky and funny and weird, but it could happen. And then since, we were just talking about it, like, Abyss Reef has so many avenues, there's so many pathways of attack, that those counterattacks, those run-bys can really do very well. It also means that hiding units can go in different directions, whereas maybe some other maps in the map pool, you always went to the left, or you always... Well, I guess it's mirrored, right? But the point is you would always go one avenue. This one you can go, like, I think you go either left or right and still dodge out the Overlord if you're trying to early pool. So what I'm saying is they might collide into each other and then just, like, be like, oh, excuse me, pardon me, like, awkward. Or they might actually, like, unintentionally base trade it by going two different directions.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. They could avoid the Overlord and the opponent's army very easily on this map. But, alternatively, they could clash in the middle. It's, see which player chooses is this is the coin flippy part of StarCraft 2. What happens at this point when it's this kind of weird opening? They're both going for a hatchery behind this, but
they both
of course,
don't care.
Yeah.
They both are just shown in the middle. I mean, even then, still, like, see, like, this little tiny thing in the middle almost made them go two different directions. They're going to choose to attack each other, which is always an interesting choice. Sometimes you just see them back off. Yeah,
and there's that grass I was talking about, but of course, it doesn't really matter when you have an Overlord giving you vision. Solar does have a bit of a concave. He's actually winning this Ling battle against JonSnow and deflects him in the middle of the map here. JonSnow is still rallying Lings across, whereas Solar is getting his Queen, Overlord, and drones back at home. He's happy with his Ling count for the most part as it stands.
Yeah. Well, Solar definitely took the better trade. I think they ended up making the same amount of Lings, but Solar just kept on taking better trades.
Yeah, he had that concave for a little bit.
Yeah, the difference of 2 Lings shouldn't be that extreme because, of course, Queen is out to protect her babies and all that, but... That was pretty funny engagements. There's I guess a chance that Solar or either one of them was going truly all in with like a gas and stuff as well, but I think they both recognized pretty quickly just how identical their builds were.
Yeah, and now they're like, well, I guess my first few lava was put into Lings, and now those Lings are not going to be really useful for a little while. So Solar's just sort of sitting here with his Lings in the middle of the map. JonSnow sends 1 Ling out to have a look and sees the Lings are still here. He's trying to see if there's Bane Lings, or is there going to be more Lings? Do they have speed yet? He doesn't actually know yet. He hasn't had a look in Solar's main at all. Like, his Overlord's not even there yet.
Yeah. JonSnow actually trying to push Solar's Overlord back.
Yeah.
I mean, until there's speed Lings, I think this is a pretty safe move, actually. And if you're pretty sure you both have the same build, you know exactly when they're going to have speed. So, he doesn't get it. Slow Lings are worth, I think, sacrificing for saving an Overlord. I think it's a good idea to try and push off the scouting. We got a fast lair actually from JonSnow, whereas Solar did the more exciting thing and went for his speed.
Yeah, Solar's going a little bit more stock standard ZvZ, whereas JonSnow with this Roach Warren and with this lair could be going for a timing attack, although it gets scouted by Solar. What a great scout this Ling's done. It'll pay the price, but God, it's worth its weight in gold. Or minerals, I guess.
Caught the tail end of that as it died, but that was a really, really good scout. Now, JonSnow is not going to use this for anything too scary, like too surprising, like a fast Spire, which was one of the choices, but rather just for faster speed. Roach Warren and Evolution Chamber went down. In fact, the Roach Warren was even scouted when that Ling popped in there, and Solar doesn't have to really worry about hitting his, like... I mean, I feel like you know they're going to Spire, there's always that option of going for your own Roaches and trying to hit before the Spire is ready to go. But unless you're already planning on doing that, it seems kind of difficult to do. Well, if your opponent's going Roaches, I think that Solar could just flood with Lings and actually do very well in that way, which he's totally prepared to do. He's got Lings, he's got speed, and he's looking to at least deny Solar's third, definitely.
Oh man, he's making that many Lings. I think he's trying to deny JonSnow's life right now. He's making so many. Tons of Lings streaming across the map, heading towards that third base location. That is going down for sure.
Yeah.
And he's going to have to rely on what he has here to defend against these Lings. In fact, Solar's completely circumnavigating the third and just going straight for the throat. Gets 1 Roach immediately.
Uh-oh. This is, well, pretty important time for JonSnow. You have about 8 Roaches. It's really not such a big deal, but they're all coming out one at a time. Lings into the main base. Some Lings are going to go ahead and attack the third. I mean, if JonSnow only loses 4 drones... 5... Okay, if he only loses 5 drones, but he saves the third, that might be a worthwhile trade, but...
I don't know what's going to save it, though. It gets cancelled.
That's too bad. It was actually quite healthy, but just a few too many Lings. The Solar, I think, produced as he realized how things were going, and now he's following up with more Roaches. I mean, you could probably consider the aggression, or at least hold against JonSnow's potential counter. JonSnow, after all, has speed. He's going to have +1, like a little bit faster, but not by very much.
Yeah. I really feel like, once he bats away these Lings one more time, or if he even can, these Lings are looking for another third cancel or any damage that they can. They're just sort of running around at the point. But I think JonSnow is in a position where he kind of needs to get across the map with his timing. Like, his strength was having speed early and having +1. And I think with +1, he should absolutely be sending these roaches across the map and trying to do damage at the third base of Solar, which is not really super well defended right now. Solar is getting an army up back at home, but it's a fair bit weaker than JonSnow's. Oh, that said, though, he is getting Carapace. So it's going to have +1 armor, but attack upgrades in ZvZ are a little bit more important.
Well, I think JonSnow is very aware that there are Lings running around the map, and now this Overlord sees more Lings and the Roaches and Ravagers coming across the map too, so...
Yeah, it forces his hand to stay home.
Yeah, good thing he didn't go for that third base, but it was unfortunate, though, is that he still needs to save his own third. Like, this is not a situation where he can just back off and be like, okay, take it, like, and then we're going to go into another game. Because even as he's trying to swap his tech here, if he can't get a third base, he's not going to be able to get very many mutas, and Solar will have no problem responding to it. He would need a third base and a few more drones to really make this a macro game.
Oh boy, it's a lot of Zerglings here.
Yeah. Of course, if JonSnow had a couple of Banelings, he'd need more than one with the +1 Carapace, but if he had a couple, that would just be so helpful in dealing with this. But he doesn't, and he even had a hole in his roaches.
Yeah, and the Zerglings are making the roaches impossible to micro here for JonSnow, and the Biles connect very, very well as well, and that's going to be GG. Solar gets game 1. Damn.
Masslings.
It's effective in all leagues.
I guess so. But I mean, they're perfectly timed, right? Like, they timed out with the +1 Carapace to flood with roaches. Well, I didn't go for a lair, so, I mean, we do see this... this choice between players a lot of the time, where one person, they both go for roaches, but one person goes for +1, roach speed, macro game, the other one decides to go for an all-in. But in Solar's case, it was like, I think the same idea, maybe even the same time, or around the same time, but instead it was mostly Ling-based, which, yeah, you don't have Banelings and they get surrounded by roaches, they do damage.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they didn't have +1 attack or anything like that, it was just sheer numbers, and also Solar... it doesn't look like it, but he controlled that army very well as well. Like he got the right surrounds. He controlled his Lings very, very well. Even going as far back as to the beginning of the game when he had that first scuffle with JonSnow in the middle of the map after that 12 pull.
Yeah,
it's just showing his advantage in this series, I suppose. Is that's well, not so much advantage, but just showing that he's probably a stronger ZvZ player.
Seems that way. I mean, it was a very odd game to start off with, too. Like, I think that the amount of times you really get to practice 12 pool versus 12 pool, probably pretty low. Early pools in general, common enough in ZvZ. That's, obviously there's a lot of practice there, but just like same exact build early on, I think always offsets. And that might have been a case of not just like who's the better ZvZer, but who's the better person to kind of roll with the punches as it is. And Solar always has been, like... he's not the weirdest player, but he does weird things. Sometimes I feel like it's because he has such a... what's the word? Like, he actually speaks English really well, so he, like, talks to all these weird foreigners who play weird, and he's like, okay, I'll do this really weird thing, gotcha. Or just the way that he plays, but generally, if, the person plays weird, they deal with weird stuff better, too. But we'll see. We do have a normal game here. At least we have at least one drone being made, and there we go. Overlord's being made too. So let's see what JonSnow can do with this. And in the top left, as the blue Zerg, it is JonSnow.
Oh yes. Contrary to popular belief, he does know something. And in the bottom right, from Splice, this is Solar. So, yeah, I'll touch on that again. Solar is probably the most fluent English Korean, I would say, along with maybe like Polt and that sort of thing. But as far as like guys still living in Korea, Solar is like very, very fluent in English. I remember his, I met him at BlizzCon and chatted to him a little bit there, but also he had a full English interview with one of those SSL sort of extra video things where they interview programmers, so they force them to respond in English, like they don't give them a choice. It's so funny watching, people like Sue and Innovation like just stumble through the English language, but Solar's like just fully conversing with the Korean announcer lady, who's very fluent in English as well. So
Yeah.
it was a pretty good little interview.
It was. I like those little segments. I think Solar has the best English hands down because his accent's really good too. He lived in America for like a couple of years.
Oh, that's true.
So,
Yep.
Yeah. Whereas Paul and Violet and Hydra, who had lived in America, they still came out with a thick accent. I actually I thought that Hydra had surprisingly good accent. He certainly learned how to write it very, very quickly. He went from not really writing much English at all to responding to all of our Skype messages in fluent English with abbreviations and puns and everything. But
I remember the stories from. I'm friends with the Australian players, and obviously a couple of them went to the Root House for a little while, and Hydra was en route.
Oh, yeah.
The Australian players actually even taught Hydra Australian slang, which is hard to pick up when you're even an American. But in a Korean guy living in America with Australians and trying to understand what the fuck we're talking about, it's really tough. And Hydra, he was going toe to toe with Argus with his memeing, being vulgar, saying dumb stuff together. It's not easy. Hydra is very, very good with English. I like it.
I was most impressed by his development, but there is a pretty important build order distinction. Solar did go for pool, gas, into hatch. That's giving him very, very quick speed.
Yep, and he's also getting a Baneling Nest, and he's going to break off. He's broken off 2 lings here, just the very, very south, but it looks like he might turn them into Banelings and just give them waddle them on in there. Just try and catch JonSnow with his pants down and a juicy drone line.
Once again, JonSnow. This is a little more dangerous because you don't know if they have fast speed. His Overlord didn't scout the hatchery timing. I mean, hell, I think sometimes the creep gives it away of what the hatchery timing is, and I'm not even sure that did. It's kind of close. So, as I said, that was a pretty dangerous thing to do. There could have been speedlings waiting to pounce on them. Not quite, though. There's seconds difference. Now that's kicked in. Lings are going forward here, scouted, but the Banelings were not. Waddle.
Yeah, the Banelings waddling on in, just getting their slow little move into the mineral line here, which Solar might actually force an evacuation of with his lings. Nice connection actually with JonSnow there, getting a lot of the lings of Solar out of the contention.
Yeah. I mean, JonSnow, long before he scouted anything, had gotten a Baneling Nest. It was 20 seconds behind that of Solar's, but it was definitely a very protective, defensive Baneling Nest. And he also just immediately made 2 Banelings too, which was obviously helped right there. So Solar's aggression not really working out.
In ZvZ, it blows my mind when people don't get a Baneling Nest for safety, because you just can lose so many games so easily to just a big ling flood. It's like one of the few moments in StarCraft that are very, very coin flippy is in ZvZ, where you don't really know what your opponent's up to, and if you don't have what you need to stop it, you just die.
Yeah.
Like the early speedling ling floods, the 13-12s, whatever, those sort of things. You need Banelings or just really good control to stop it.
Yeah. But I mean, last game, if he had a Baneling Nest, even one that he wasn't really planning on using, he might have used it against all those lings. Surprising, a Baneling got in there, leaves him very weak, but JonSnow not able to capitalize.
Yeah. It's really nice when you get that one Baneling connection, and even though it doesn't kill the drones, it makes them so softened up that, 3 or 4 lings with good shift click, queuing up could actually kill so many drones. But as it stands, Solar does deflect the majority of the damage there. Both players are at a pretty even spot, pretty even on the worker count, pretty even the army count, but that said though, JonSnow does have the much faster 3rd base. Oh yeah. So he's got that going for him.
Much, much faster. He has a bit slower of a layer, so Solar's going to have the roach speed and +1, a little bit ahead, but that 3rd base might be better. He has the 8 extra drones to go along with it, now 2, and I want to say that's going to work out for him a little bit more, but sometimes there is an evening effect. JonSnow's not going to get a cancel on Solar's 3rd, so that will eventually get up, and probably around the time that you really would want to use the drones. Although I guess he's actually already pretty saturated. No 4th gas, and even just long distance mining.
Well. I see that JonSnow is actually getting his lair. Well, I got his lair a little bit later than Solar, as a result of going for a 3rd base and going more economically focused. So Solar's going to have his roast speed and +1 a little bit earlier than JonSnow, but it may not come into play. It's just sort of keeping his units on his side of the map for the most part, breaking down the rocks and getting his 3rd up safely.
Yeah. You actually see in the income advantage that I guess Solar probably had a bit of a drone lead or something like that. He spiked up, but then I think JonSnow's 3rd base is really starting to kick in, as he is just taking the mark there. But that means he has, I mean, he's already, they both are pretty much done droning at 55 or around that point, if they want to be anyways. I think it's a pretty safe point. And he's just making nothing but roaches. This is going to be a scary hold for Solar.
Yeah, it's going to be a ton of units here for JonSnow, and it may just be too many, depending on... I mean, defender's advantage very, very important in ZvZ, so we can't cut him out of it yet, but as it stands, the army supply is overwhelmingly in the American Zerg's favor.
Yeah.
And with roach speed and +1 finishing up, there's no reason for him to sit at home. It'd be a pretty strong timing for him to hit.
Yeah, there really isn't. If he doesn't hit this, this is just a huge mistake. Overseer got into the base and saw... I think what he really saw was just no shenanigans, no, like, a trick into Spire. He didn't see, I think, a particularly low drone count anywhere. Like, the third base was saturated when he went by it, or mostly saturated. And he's ready to go. I don't think he saw the army, but I think he knows that having that third base so much faster has got to give him an advantage.
Absolutely, and he's completely correct if he assumes that as well, as we see him barreling into the natural here. Solar coming down from the third, but that gives JonSnow a big concave here, and he moves in and starts to target down the Ravagers as well, dodging most of the Biles, only connecting with one. And this looks like just too much from JonSnow. He's up 30 army supply, and he is hitting very hard and fast.
30 roaches to 10. I think JonSnow has this. Burrow and Tunneling Claw is going to finish for Solar, but what is that going to matter? He's not going to have any roaches to use it.
Yeah, they can hide, but they can't run. And that means that JonSnow is just going to start tearing things apart. Even with the defender's advantage, Solar just not with the numbers here. And JonSnow is just rallying too much. GG, tied up, one apiece. Go America.
Exactly.
Also, shout out to Sword Noobs for a 41 month in a row resub. That's incredible, dude. Is that like the entire duration of this channel? I feel like 41 month is one of the biggest resubs I've seen. Says a Maynard versus Rifkin show match would be the cheesiest one ever. I have a thing or two to say about that. Now, I'm not normally a cheesy player, so if the cheese did happen, it would be happening from Rifkin. I only cheesed in my matches because those guys are way better than I am. Whereas Rifkin is better than me, but not that much better than me. I'd probably play standing against Rifkin, but I doubt he'd play standing against me.
Oh no, definitely not. Well, we're going to be going to game number 3, but first, a quick break. Alright, thanks for watching, guys. We're ready to go. The last map's going to be Defender's Landing, which I thought was an interesting last map. I double-checked and triple-checked, but no, they vetoed every other normal map, like Proxima and the Odyssey and stuff like that.
Yeah, this one snuck on in there, but we see both players they aren't afraid to get aggressive, so this short rush distance 1v1 map could, you know, sort of give to that kind of play, but as it stands in the bottom left, we have winning game 2 in pretty blinding fashion on Odyssey. This is JonSnow.
Yeah, the barcode.
Trying to remember what team he's on. He's on Sidestorm. My bad.
That's what I was gonna guess.
I don't know. Yeah.
I don't need to guess. In the top right, of course, on Splice, it is Solar.
And in the Twitch chat, subscribing for 28 months in a row, it is Nopicon. Thank you very much, mate.
Well, the build is once again from Solar going to be a gas pool. Pretty sure that's what he did last game.
Also for JonSnow.
Well,
but yeah, no, you're right. You're absolutely right. Solar going for the same opening as last time, whereas JonSnow, I think, went for hatchery first.
Yeah, I think that's what happened. So, Solar, I mean, it didn't work out for Solar last game. The banelings were pre-made. You know, baneling nest was pre-made, and it just, you know, it wasn't really the aggression he was looking for. But I think for Defender's Landing, if you go for a hatch first, you're just kind of asking for trouble. It's a short map. There's, you know, good chance you're going to do something cheesy. I mean, hell, he is like a Terran on this map. Playing against Zerg, Zerg almost always do, you know, early pulls against me. And
yeah, you make your CC in the... You make your CC in the main, or you die trying.
Yeah.
On Defender's Landing, it's you know, I mean, not only do you you know, have a short rush distance, you also have 2 different attack avenues into that low ground expansion as well. So this map's natural is not too hard, not too easy to hold, I guess, until you knock down those collapsible towers in the middle of the map. So, cooling tower, it's called. Sorry.
Yeah. There are so many rocks in this map. Of course, cooling towers are the ones that are always broken. Oh, almost always broken, but these, like, debris is never touched.
Yeah.
Feels. Well, so we actually had a striking difference here. So it wasn't just the same old from Solar. You know, JonSnow, I think, just playing a good, smart move on Defender's Landing, but Solar actually using his gas more so for these roaches. Exactly. So a very quick roach rush. You don't see this too often anymore on two bases.
This is old school, man. This is Heart of Swarm or even Wings of Liberty. This is the old just gonna kill you with roaches trick. But JonSnow, is he gonna go? Is he gonna be able to see this before it's too late? Is the big question here, because Solar can absolutely just clinch this one by surprising him. He's starting to bring in the Lings now.
Well, I mean, it's one of the problems with Defender's Landing. Even if you see it as it's happening, it's kind of already too late. Like, it's a very small amount.
Well, it's already 5 on the way here for Solar. Ugh. I mean, the best that JonSnow can hope for, you know, he's not going to be able to rush in a roach tech and have his own roaches in time, but he could maybe get some spine crawlers in time or something like that. He has speed now. No, here are the roaches.
I think just flooding with Lings and, like, he's going to try and get to roaches. I don't think it's going to work.
I don't think so either.
He's also not really buying any time by threatening a counter. He just ran back home, so there's nothing to come back here and maybe pull a roach away or two. I'm surprised, though. Solar, I was going to say, like, I'm pretty sure you're supposed to attack with this, not break down the rocks with it. Seems like a bit of a waste.
Yeah. I mean, rushing for things normally means you want to hit with it as soon as possible, you know what I mean? It's rushing, not taking your sweet-ass time with it.
Yeah. Of course, for JonSnow, of course, you should definitely take down the debris. I mean, that's a little bit of extra time. And it looks like Solar doesn't want to commit with this.
Yeah. He made a bunch of roaches. He went halfway through the map, and then he went, nah. Pulled back into the natural.
Uh-oh. Who dis? Who dat?
Oh, America.
Well, Korea, actually.
Oh, yeah, actually, yeah.
Yeah, it's in Korea. I don't know what happened. The house is pretty good internet, so this doesn't make much sense. Unless everyone just came crashing down.
Damn. I mean, you could see if all of them nerds of the BaseTradeTV house just got logged off Skype or Discord or whatever. It would be a sign of things house-wide. I forgot that JonSnow's in Korea. That's really sick. And also, a laser's coming soon as well, isn't he?
A laser's here, right? He flew by the GSL.
Yeah, that's right. Sorry, I didn't know if he was in the house or not. I guess if you're a foreigner, you're going to Korea, it's basically where you go.
Yeah, well, a lot of them. That is true. Well, okay, that's going to be a regame. Recover from replay. Maybe he accidentally hit a cord or something like that.
Dang. That sucks. Oh well. It's not game over.
Oh, it's actually a very awkward situation, though, because, like, I feel like it could have been a much worse disconnect if Solar had actually attacked, because that's probably when, like, the aggressions come in and he's trying to get surrounds and stuff, but at least it came during a peaceful moment.
Do you remember Wings of Liberty? Where there would be, like, a massive battle and it'd be completely even and the game's about to end, but then they just, like, people would drop because the technology wasn't there, and then you'd have to regame all the way from the start.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's infamous Start Sale versus Prime.
Yeah. Or even worse, when you're like, when there's advantage for one player and the game ends and the admin's like, they had an advantage, so they win.
Yeah. I feel like that didn't come down to it too often. I feel like there's always more of a play it safe and just even if they're like on the last building, like, hey, you had a chance. You can do it. JonSnow's already back, so it must have. I feel like it was just accidentally hitting a power button or a cable or something.
What a silly buns. Alright.
Silly.
In we go.
The wonders of technology.
The vehicle of esports. Used to enjoy having Tasteless do that speech every single GSL broadcast.
There's so many good things with the GSL, you know?
I mean, as much as I know that RTS in some way or some form is going to stick around forever, I'm going to be really sad when one day the GSL ends. I hope it never does, but the realist in me says that it will one day. And the GSL is literally my favorite TV show, like including everything I've ever watched on TV that's not esports related. It's just something I never miss and I always tune into. And it either gets me incredibly hyped or makes me cry laughing, or both. Because
right.
Tastos are incredibly funny, and it's the best plays in the world.
Yeah, definitely. They're both ready, so let's do this.
Let's do it.
It's the convenient countdown timer that every other pause screen should have, but whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, why don't they have that on ladder? Oh, man.
So as you can see, just back into it, everyone's hotkey stays the same and everything. If you really don't know anything about it, it's actually a very useful tool. So where were we? We were at Solar pulling back from an apparent rush. I mean, one could say that just by forcing JonSnow to react, he already gained what he wanted from it. And I guess he really did. JonSnow had to take that seriously. He spent money on a Roachborn. He doesn't... Well, he wouldn't usually have it this time, but does need, I think, because I think the game is already going into Roaches. But, you know, he gains a faster third base from this. That's the way that, like, Speedling versus Roach usually goes. Speedlings get faster third base. Roaches gets, well, to the next tier of ZvZ faster, basically.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Both players actually getting +1 at the same time, but obviously Solar getting speed a little bit quicker as he has a lair, whereas JonSnow is still in Tier 1 town, going for the quicker third base as his option. Once again, favoring economy over tech here is JonSnow. Yeah, I mean, he is starting to pump out quite a bit of lava into that Roach count, smartly so, I think. Also, just after that unpause, JonSnow supply locked Solar by killing an Overlord with those 2 queens, which is a nice little move, and straight after the unpause.
Nice. I thought the queen's chasing it. I didn't realize it supply blocked him.
Yeah, knocked Solar to 51 and a 52. Yeah, 51 and a 52. And he did a nice little move too, where he had like some lings in the high ground to give him vision to pick off the Overlord as well.
Yeah.
It's nice.
Yeah, he's been pretty insistent about, you know, taking out that first Overlord if he can, so finally gets it this game. This third base, it looks like it's going to be protected well enough, but that's always going to be a point that, you know, JonSnow is going to be looking for. They're reaching up to that count where third bases will be very useful to see. It's, you know, JonSnow's already saturating his, getting that spike of income, but it's going to be coming down more to the army, which, I mean, isn't looking too bad. You know, despite not getting Roaches as quickly, JonSnow is able to, you know, pump out more Roaches faster, so it's actually reaching roughly the same point, except that, well, JonSnow actually has a lead in army supply.
Yeah, primarily because I feel like he's just had more lava for a while. He's had that third hatchery. He's, you know, the third of Solar with that extra lava production, that extra queens injects, all those sort of things haven't been happening for Solar. So JonSnow's extra production coming in strong here as his army takes a pretty huge advantage. 74 army supply to 46. That is a lot.
I think we can see your point exactly just with how much Solar's banking right now. So
yeah. Didn't even look at that, but you're absolutely right. We got Solar finally being able to spend his money a bit, but JonSnow's been able to do that for a lot longer, and he's going to hit very soon with this army, and it's going to hit pretty hard. Although I feel like Solar has more units this time than he did last game when JonSnow went for an attack.
Well, yeah. I don't remember the exact numbers, but this is looking... It looks almost like the same scenario where Solar might just get run over. And, you know, not too much micro to it with such a big difference. This time, JonSnow even has a couple of Ravagers of his own. Solar is making his right now, and that is a pretty stark difference of Roach counts. He's moving across the map. He's got speed and plus... No, he doesn't have speed. Just kidding. He has +1. He never went for a lair. Well, that still doesn't matter. I think he still rushes in there and pushes.
Yeah, I mean, with speed, you generally get the concaves and that sort of thing, but Defender's Landing is a little bit tough to get concaves anyway. JonSnow pushing forward with a big army supply advantage, but Solar only about 20 behind, and with Defender's Advantage and with Queens maybe out of hold here. We'll see.
You might just be able to. Of course, with that lair and Roach speed, you can micro a little bit better and counterattack a lot faster too, but I'm looking also towards that +2 that he's trying to get to. He does manage to hold. He's still down 10 army supply, but JonSnow has to rally in. Solar is immediately reinforcing. It didn't work.
Wow, good hold from Solar. I mean, all the numbers looked in JonSnow's favor there, but I really think Roach speed came in very clutch for him. Like you just said, he managed to reposition his army. He could dodge biles easier. We can see that JonSnow is actually taking a few very, very critical biles to the face during that engagement as well at the third hatchery.
Yeah.
So as it stands, Solar, even though he was down so heavily in supply, he's now in supply lead. after that engagement, and he has speed. He has +2 attack just finishing now. So now the shoe's on the other foot here as he comes barreling into JonSnow's front door.
I really like this move by JonSnow to try and send something to at least kill drones, pull the army back, but he has a lot of time to buy with that +2 disadvantage. Maybe you could buy time for speed, but I don't know about +2. He's trying to wait. He has that concave defensively. You're absolutely right. It's like it's a complete role reversal, except the upgrades are better now too.
Yeah. And with speed, Solar can sort of springboard his units forward here. JonSnow trying to get what he can done with his army, but again, the iron supply is in Solar's advantage, and JonSnow's moving so far out that the defender's advantage actually doesn't matter right now. He's hitting the reinforcements of Solar here and losing a lot of roaches.
This is going to be the tipping point. It's 50 army supply up. Solar's just going to rally with that speed as quickly as possible, and there it is, GG.
Wow. That was a pretty close clutch hold there on the third base for Solar. It turned into a win for him in the end. Yeah. Nice series all up. Good fight from JonSnow. Kid's really good, man. Real good.
Yeah. I'm glad we saw him at least take one game. That second game was close, but Solar was able to hold. Of course, now JonSnow goes to the loser's match to face Bjorn. So that's quite a challenge, and that will be the first match. Ooh. Losers match first. Bjorn versus JonSnow. So while we get that set up, we're going to go to a break. Thanks for watching, everyone. Remember to type !Matcherino and donate to that if you like the players. Apparently there are still codes left as well, as people are using them. And A1 Last, A-List donated an extra $5.58, it looks like. But nice and smooth, so thank you very much for that. See you guys in a few.